There's a separate command we have to use. I'll go ahead and hit finish right now. If there's a basement in the building, we have to add a site pad that will basically stamp a depression in a site element. If we go to the 3D view right now and turn off the temporary hide isolate from a previous video, we can see we have this site element. If we pick that topo surface, the material is not set right now, so we can click on that and search for grass, see if we have one. Looks like there's not one in the project, but one shows up down here from the Autodesk library that I just double clicked on and it brought it in. Maybe a little too bright, but that's just a shaded color that doesn't relate to the rendering that we're about to do. Now that we have a site put into the model, we're going to go to the View tab and create a camera. We could also do this from the Quick Access toolbar by selecting Camera in the drop-down list. Then we'll pick our point where we want to be standing. We notice that the default height from level 1 is 5'6", which is an average eye height. Then our second point will still be at the same height unless we change it. So at this point we'll just look straight ahead. Now that we're in our camera view, we can select the view cube to adjust things, or we can select the steering wheel. With the steering wheel, we can click on the look option and kind of look around the model. Then we can close that once we get the view the way we like it. Now that we have a view set up, we can select the render dialog icon. So now, just without doing anything else, we could hit render and get a quick, low quality rendering that has shadows and materials and a clouded background. If we want to increase the quality of this rendering, we would adjust the setting here to medium or high. Typically medium does a pretty good job. And then also we could switch to printer quality and increase the DPI. 300 DPI and medium usually create a pretty decent rendering. In terms of give and take between quality and time, the higher these settings are, the longer it can take to produce the rendering. In fact, it can take days, if not a week or more, to do a rendering if there's a lot of detail and the settings are really high. We can specify what kind of lighting is being considered. Exterior only was the default, and that's really all we have here. We don't have any light fixtures or artificial lighting, so sun only is all we really need. And so there's 3 exterior options and 3 interior options. We could also do artificial only if we had artificial lights, but we'll leave that as sun only. Now, what is the sun? Where is it in the sky relative to the time of day and where we are on Earth? We can go to the sun settings button here, and we want to do a still solar study, and we can specify our location by clicking this location button. You can actually type in a full address or just a city. So Minneapolis, Minnesota. It gives the longitude and latitude for that location. We also see local weather station information related to that location. We can then specify the date, the month, day, and year, as well as the time. We can tell it to turn off ground plane, seeing as we drew a ground surface. So now that's specifying the lighting more accurately for where we are located and the time of day we want to see what the lighting looks like. If we're doing an artificial option for the scheme, we'd have this button available to be able to go in and see what lights are actually going to be utilized within the rendering. The more artificial lights there are, the longer the rendering takes. So you can turn some off that might be in a back room that aren't actually showing up in the view. We can also adjust the number of clouds that are shown, or we can even use an actual photograph, which would be the image, or just a solid color. So let's just change that to very cloudy so we see a difference. And now we'll hit render again with the new lighting and a new cloud background. And so depending on the speed of your computer and the current settings, the rendering is done. You can kind of see an odd situation where the ground kind of ends, and back there we see where the actual horizon is. But this is just the initial concept of how we create a rendering. If we close this view and close the site view and look at our floor plan again, we could do a similar set of steps to create an interior rendering. We can create a camera that's inside the building. So here we're seeing our stairs and the hole in the floor, and right now we don't have any artificial lighting or any windows in the wall, so this isn't going to really be a good rendering, but this is how you'd set that same rendering up. Back to the floor plan view, we can add some people to our scene. So I'm going to go to Insert, Load Family, and then open up the Entourage folder. We can add the male and female entourage people. And then back here on the Architecture tab, we select Component, and the type selector shows us the various people that are available to be placed in this model. You can hit the space bar to rotate them. Now over here under 3D views, the last view that I created was the interior camera view. I can also right click on this view name and select show camera to verify which view that is, or even to adjust it. So you can see this person that we selected, Cynthia, is actually a person who's sitting. So if we were to go back and add several windows to see if we can get some light into the model, we can try and do a rendering here. So now we have several windows. So we're going to click Show Render dialog box. We want to be interior sun only because we don't have any artificial light still. And then we select Render. In this case, we can see there's not a lot of daylight coming in to adequately brighten the space. So we'd have to add some artificial lights. If we go back to our outside camera view, we can select this wall, go to Edit Type, Edit Structure, and click on the material for the brick. If we want to pick a different material, we go to the Appearance here and click this little button